hundreds of mutants in the Marvel Universe.
Some are packing more powerful punches than you might think. Scheming like a criminal ever since her debut is Lady Mastermind. She can create hyper-realistic telepathic illusions. One time in Extreme X-Men 9, she created an illusion in Heather Cameron's head that Heather was stabbed, and Heather started bleeding through her pores in the real world. Her shirt was soaked with blood like there was a wound, but nothing was actually there. That's creepy. She also convinced Heather's dad that he was drowning and he suffocated in a room full of air. People tend to believe the illusions even if it comes with major changes in the environment. It doesn't matter, they feel that real. Plus, with everything going on in the Marvel Universe, getting randomly teleported is not that surprising to think. Mastermind also can make illusions exactly your worst nightmare because she can read your mind a little. It's limited telepathy. She can use her limited telepathic powers to camouflage herself and others, or make herself and others appear as someone else. In X-Men Volume 2, 193, she does this and makes an X-Men unknowingly eliminate their teammate. Even if you knock her out, the illusions will sometimes stick around. Big brain doing big things.
Next up, the Cajun sensation known as Gambit was one of my favorite X-Men characters when I was a kid. Remy LeBeau has the really cool mutant ability of molecular acceleration, allowing him to convert the potential energy of a non-living object through touch and kinetically excite the molecules to the point that they explode. Usually when a mutant has an ability that manipulates molecules, they have a pretty vast array of powers, but for Gambit, he mainly uses his abilities as simple attacks, charging up his cards or his bow staff. But in an alternate universe, there is a future variation of Gambit known as New Sun, who is what Gambit would be if he reached the full potential of his power. He can manipulate kinetic energy down to a molecular level, meaning New Sun can charge objects and living beings without being in contact with them. He can stop objects that are in motion and make still objects begin moving. He can turn into a wave of energy, letting him travel through space and other dimensions, and he was even able to defeat the Dark Phoenix in his own universe. Now we do see 616 Gambit use a lot of the same abilities as New Sun in a fight between the two in Gambit's 1999 solo series, but we won't likely see him reach the full potential of his powers again anytime soon.
In the wise words of Taylor Swift, Karma is a queen. Karma is also a telepath. She can read your thoughts and stuff, but her main ability is psychic possession. Karma overwhelms her victims' consciousness by sending them mental energy surges. It confuses their brain, and in that window, Karma slips into the driver's seat. She now controls your body like it were her own. She feels everything your body feels. You would enter a sort of like dreamlike state, and you wouldn't even remember anything after. Does she use this method for battling? Yes, but she could also really mess up your personal life if she wanted to. She can do this mind control thing with multiple people at once, but she has to switch from person to person. You can't pull an Uno reverse and mind control her. She has a psychic shield that she can throw up. I think what makes Karma extra powerful is that she could still win a fight without her mutant ability. She trained in self-defense with many military specialists. She spent some time in Vietnam and learned about guns and first aid, and then when her sister died, she got her multi-billion-dollar company. She has mutant power, firepower, and financial power. She's doing good.
John Paul Baubier is an interesting mutant with a few different abilities. Northstar's main ability is super speed. Now, not really in the traditional sense of running really fast, rather, Northstar can propel his body at superhuman speeds, becoming a living projectile, channeling a portion of the kinetic energy of his body's molecules in a single direction. It's even possible for him to reach 99% the speed of light in a vacuum, but if he were to do that on Earth or something, he'd not only damage himself, but could quite possibly break the entire planet. He can also super speed any part of his body, basically giving him superhuman reflexes and an incredibly fast metabolism to heal wounds. What's really cool is that since he is taking atomic motion from the molecules of his own muscles, they actually become closer and tighter, making him superhumanly durable as well, allowing him to survive moving at the speeds he does without tearing himself apart. He also uses his ability to fly by projecting the kinetic energy downwards, which in turn lifts him upwards. But in case that wasn't enough, Northstar also has photokinesis, allowing him to generate a bright light, which, according to the wiki, is equivalent to 500,000 foot candles, which is an extremely weird frame of of reference, but he can also release concussive blasts that do some pretty serious damage, so, you win some, you lose some.
Our next mutant has powerful telepathic abilities again, and a god complex. His name is Gamemaster, and he has powerful telepathic abilities. So powerful, he actually needed cybernetic implants to help him control his power. What does he do with all this power? Well, he helped run a competition for mutants to fight each other to win a prize. Like a lot of power or something like that. Something tells me this guy would enjoy the Hunger Games trilogy and probably take notes while reading. He got to this point because he discovered that if he is able to really focus on a distraction like those games, then his mental load would be easier to carry. His mental load is a hefty one. He can hear the thoughts of every human on the planet, every living being, so maybe even animals, but that's also like 8 billion people. Their thoughts running through your head 24/7. That's a lot, even for the most powerful telepath. He can manipulate many minds at once, claiming to be able to control the whole world, but I think that was ultimately a lie. But with some training, I wouldn't rule it out. This guy is smart, but since he manifested his abilities at an early age and got no help in developing them, he doesn't have the best skill when it comes to using his abilities, which is probably for the best. He's pretty powerful as unskilled as he is, so it's in the X-Men's best interest to keep him at that level, unless he's on the team, of course. He does join the mutant nation of Krakoa in the end.
Next up, Phantom X, or Charlie Cluster 7, or Weapon 13, or John Philippe, or whatever you want to call him, was experimented on by Weapons Plus, and was genetically grown and evolved using Sentinel technology. Now thanks to that, he actually has, or had, 3 different brains for independent parallel processing. He had nanoactive blood, and his primary nervous system is actually a detachable techno-organism called Eva. So there's some stuff to break down there. Eva can fly herself and can generate bioelectric charges to be used as weapons, with Phantom X being both telepathically and symbiotically linked to Eva. His multiple different brains allow him to think like a sort of supercomputer similar to Sage, but it also gives him access to 2 extra personalities, a charmer and a super deadly mutant hunter. He can create extremely powerful illusions and enter a trance-like state where he can rapidly heal, and he has self-supremacy over his own body and mind, which allow him to overcome pretty much anything to complete his missions, including mind control. He has enhanced senses, is a dope fighter, and does not create any kind of smell, and for the longest time, as a kid, I just thought he was like a glorified super soldier. I guess I was wrong.
Did I include this next mutant because we share a name, and maybe more rare, the spelling of our name? Maybe, but that doesn't mean she doesn't deserve to be here. Amara Juliana Olivians Akia, or Magma, is from Nova Roma in Brazil, but eventually ended up at the School for Gifted Youngsters. Her big thing is geokinesis. She can control the Earth's tectonic plates. Sure, is it short range control? Maybe, but the average tectonic plate is 125 kilometers thick, or 77 miles. That's no small feat to move that around and cause an earthquake or a random volcano. In New Mutants 12, she got essayed by a guy and was so mad she just poof, volcano in the middle of the beach. Good for her. The volcano, magma, lava stuff is called geothermokinesis. She herself has her magma form because the name Magma had to come from somewhere. While in this form, there is nothing else hot enough to hurt her, and she is physically super bright. She has fire hair too. She can throw lava while in this form, and fire too, but the direct contact of magma seems to work better in her fighting style. If you come at her with metal anything, it will probably be a blob. When you leave, she'll melt it. The place she grew up in, Nova Roma, was a secret Roman colony, so they did still do some of the training they would have done way back in Rome. That means Magma can fight real good with swords. If all that wasn't enough, if she's hurt, as long as she can touch the ground or something hot, she has regenerative powers.
Next up is Sync. Sync has the mutant ability of power mimicry, meaning, kind of like Rogue, Sync can copy the powers of other mutants. But unlike Rogue, Sync has the benefit of not doing any harm to whoever he is borrowing powers from, and he can also do it without physical touch. Recently though, after being resurrected, Sync got a bit of a power boost, and he may even become a new Omega level mutant. In the story, Sync not only uses his normal mutant powers to replicate the abilities of the mutants Sunfire and Cyclops while they are both nearby, but it's also able to tap into Jean Grey's telekinetic abilities as well while while she is literally all the way chillin' on Mars. Sync's growth in power post-resurrection was first noticed back in 2021's X-Men number 18, with Sync documenting that he was now able to sync not just with mutants but other superhumans as well, which is quite the power boost, and I think it just keeps going up and up. In the House of M alternate reality, Sync even got to the point of permanently retaining others' powers, which would be an incredibly significant power boost as well. As a main member of the new X-Men, it's hard to be surprised that he is getting some power boosts.
Angel used to fly around and that was it. Well, not it. He and his wings were super strong, so he could definitely hold his own in a fight, but soon, to put this simply, he got a good side and a bad side. The good side is Angel, the bad side is Archangel. Archangel is a persona that craves death and destruction, so Angel really had to get that in check so he could stay with the X-Men. Archangel did bring a bunch of new powers to the table, like a hypersonic scream. It's what it sounds like. He screams so loud it can cause internal bleeding, which is fine, that's where the blood is supposed to be. To clarify to anyone concerned, that was a joke from a TV show. If you are experiencing internal bleeding, I would go to a hospital or get a blood transfusion from Angel. Yeah, Angel has healing blood now. Turns out if you get hurt and Angel is nearby, you are good, you're safe. He can drip some of his blood on your injury and it will heal up quick. For him, he just heals when he gets hurt. Love a good healing factor. The whole Archangel thing gave him techno-organic wings, so like metal wings with a bunch of weapons and combat-related uses that eventually go back to feathers. He's good at hand-to-hand combat and sword fighting and also business. He owns the company Worthington Industries and it's a Fortune 100 company. Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Jubilee's energy plasmoids might actually be one of the most potent of the X-Men's arsenal. The plasmoids aren't fireworks, even though they look a lot like them. They're actually closer to superheated plasma. She can create a bolt of bright light, but she can also push out enough power to bend steel or like destroy a tree. And with precision, she can even detonate microbursts inside someone's brain, so that's the amount of range we're kind of talking about here. But that ain't all. Emma Frost once speculated if wielded properly, Jubilee could potentially detonate objects on a subatomic level, meaning this unassuming mall rat could like cause explosions of atomic proportions. She's a highly underrated character in the comics and gained a lot of popularity in the 90s thanks to the X-Men TV show, and while she's gone in and out of having powers, she still remains one of the cooler characters in the X-Men's lineup, who is much more powerful than you might assume.
And that's all the time we have left, nerds.
But don't worry, because you can always find us in another video here on Top 10 Nerd. I'm Adam Andrews.
And I'm Juliana Duran, and we will catch you nerds next time. Bye.
Peace out.
God.
Yeah, I feel like a giant.
I'm even on the
Wiggle down a
box
little
too.
bit. There
Like,
we go.
I'll do this.
Alright.
There was no wound, but like her shirt. Oh my god.
Taylor Swift? Is that what I just saw?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Taylor Swift.
If he were to do that on Earth or something What? Oh, he can also release concussive blasts. But he can also release.
Did I include this next mutant because we share a name and maybe more rare, the same spelling? That doesn't mean she. Oh, I said that wrong anyways. Oh well. 1 second.